welcome everybody to this joint webinar for TeacherMatic and the Blended Learning Consortium. My name's Peter Kilcoyne. I'm the Managing Director of Innovative Learning Technologies, which is the company behind TeacherMatic. And as many of you will know, I'm also the founder behind the Blended Learning Consortium and set that up 10 years ago. So these are two things that are very dear to my heart, and I thought it would be a great thing to do a webinar bringing both of these initiatives together. So what we're going to be doing today, firstly, and I'm absolutely delighted to have Amy Hollier join us, Head Director of Production from King's College London. And Amy, as many of you will know, was my upgrade, as I like to describe her, at the Blended Learning Consortium. So when I retired, which was not the most successful of retirements 4 years ago, Amy took over from me. And Amy's going to do a brief introduction to give her thoughts on the Blended Learning Consortium and TeacherMatic. I'll be then talking a little bit about the history of the Blended Learning Consortium, but more about TeacherMatic and drawing out some of the common themes that run between these two initiatives. And I'll also be showing you some examples of TeacherMatic and how these common themes around collaboration, co-development and community have shaped the way that TeacherMatic has developed. I'll then be handing over to Matt Beck, the Director of Blended and Online Learning from Hart Worcestershire College, who now leads the Blended Learning Consortium. So Matt is Amy's upgrade. And he will be talking about the latest developments in the Blended Learning Consortium. And then finally, Matt will be handing over to Kirsty and Joe from Hart Worcestershire College. He'll be talking about how these two initiatives can work together, how you can integrate the Blended Learning Consortium content with some of the TeacherMatic generators. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over to, so just a bit of housekeeping stuff in terms of how this webinar is going to work. If you could all introduce yourselves in the chat, perhaps just say who you are, what your role is, and where you work. You don't have to, but if you'd like to, please pop that into the chat. If you have any questions as we're going along, type them into the chat and we will monitor those and pick them up at the end of each session as far as we can do. If you could keep your cameras and microphones off through the whole of the webinar until the end, and at the end, if anyone wants to stay around at the end, we'll have a bit of an open session where everyone can turn cameras and microphones on. But for the main part of this webinar, if you could all keep your cameras and microphones off, apart from the speakers, and just interact using the chat. We will take some questions after each of the sessions, and then we'll take some general questions at the end. So that's the format for today, and I'm now going to hand over to Amy Hollier, who's going to just give some reflections of her own. Over to you, Amy.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you. It's really, really lovely to be here. So good afternoon to everybody, and it's nice to see so many familiar names in the chat. Actually, it's like coming back to see old friends. So good to see you all. I was really keen just to say a few words because these two resources are really close to my heart. I've worked with Peter, as he said, for a number of years, and the team at TeacherMatic as they were developing the product and really getting it out there into the market, and obviously worked with Matt and the team at the BRC for a number of years, so can clearly see the synergy between these two, and I think that they are game changers for vocational education. So I remember when I worked as a lecturer, and you spend hours just focusing on coming up with ideas for different lessons and trying to make things engaging and a bit varied week on week, and it was absolutely exhausting. And I think we've always had that thing in FE where the workload has always increased at that little bit more each year. So the kind of idea that we now have these tools such as TeacherMatic and the Blended Learning Consortium to support teachers to ease the workload and allow them to have more time to properly support students and do the really important stuff in the classroom, rather than spending hours doing admin and paperwork to support, I don't know, an inspection or anything like that, is so special. So I can't emphasize just how much I think of these two resources. I suppose that the way that they work in synergy is really that TeacherMatic gives you the scaffolding for a really great lesson. So it enables teachers to have the confidence that they know that their lesson is going to be structured really well. It's going to have a variety of activities and things like question and answer banks, which take us so long to do independently, all at their fingertips. And it also then allows managers to have that confidence as well that they are going to be delivering really high quality lessons. And then in that scaffolding, you can then input the resources from the Blended Learning Consortium. And again, you can be confident that they are really high quality resources written by subject specialists. The quality assurance that goes through these resources before they're even released is off the charts. And that can be then input into the TeacherMatic kind of scaffold. So the way that you can use them to work together and give teachers the opportunity to have more time in the classroom, I think is, as I say, really special. So I'm not going to carry on talking too much, but all I would say is that these are two leaders in FE that are incredibly passionate, and I mean Peter and Matt in what they do. They really understand FE and the challenges that come along with it. So both of these resources are developed by people that understand everything and the intricacies that go into teaching in FE and beyond FE as well. So I've rambled on for way longer than I intended to. So I'm going to pass back over to Peter on that note, and thank you for allowing me to join you today.
Thank you so much, Amy. That's really appreciated. Okay, so I'm now going to give my own thoughts, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Blended Learning Consortium and how that got going. And then I'm going to move on to talk about how TeacherMatic got going, the ideas behind that, talk about how it works and show you some of the generators in action. And one of my main reasons for bringing this meeting together was, while an awful lot of the colleges using the Blended Learning Consortium resources or members of Blended Learning Consortium also use TeacherMatic, there are a number of organisations who have TeacherMatic but not the Blended Learning Consortium, and a number that have the Blended Learning Consortium and not TeacherMatic. And I thought it was really important, in particular for those organisations, that you can learn a bit about the toolkit that you don't have access to at the moment, and hopefully we'll look at bring it into your organisations. Okay, so a bit of history first on the Blended Learning Consortium. So these are various sort of pictures that summarise sort of various aspects of the Blended Learning Consortium, and the BLC is now over 10 years old, and it's just sort of struck me that it's about 5 years since I stopped leading it, so I've led it for about half of that period, and then Amy and Matt have led it for the other half of that period. And so the Blended Learning Consortium kind of started in the middle of 2014, and the way it started at Heart of Worcestershire College at the time, we were the first college to be running a full cross-college blended learning curriculum. And it struck me that this was incredibly challenging because staff didn't have the time or the skills necessary to create high quality blended learning content. Now, because we were the first college to run it, and we were doing pretty well. We won both the AOC and the Times Educational Supplement Awards for our work with blended learning, and we were getting lots of colleges coming to visit us to see what we were doing. And it struck me as all these colleges were coming to see us that what if we all got together and worked together? And in fact, the idea came to me. It was a Friday night bottle of wine idea. And I was having a Friday night. And you know that when you're about 2 glasses into a bottle of wine and, you know, everyone's your busy mate kind of thing. I think of all these people I know in further education that I've enjoyed working with, and wouldn't it be great if we could all sort of get together and build a consortium and collaborate to develop blended learning? So I put the message out and quickly got about 12 colleges that were keen to make a start on the blended learning consortium. And it works with a very simple model, and the model is pretty much the same today as it was then, with the idea that each member college pays in £5,000 a year. We pool that money, we vote on what content we're going to develop, and then that money is used to develop the most popular content for development. And that model, which is still very much the model that's in place then, and that has enabled Heart Worcestershire College to build an absolutely fabulous development team. And one of the real joys for me, both while I was working at the Blended Learning Consortium and sort of observing from, you know, a sort of semi-detached distance, I'm still, you know, I'm delighted that Amy and Matt have allowed me to still have some involvement, and seeing that the skills of this team of developers improve over the years. And you know, the first content that came out, I thought it was amazing, but it's completely different what they're doing now. It's so much more sophisticated, so much more interactive. Obviously, the tools for developing the content have developed and improved a lot. But the development team and understanding the processes, understanding how to monitor and improve quality, an awful lot of learning has gone on. And so this incredible team, and when I look at the latest content, I'm sure Matt will be showing you some of the latest content, it is absolutely mind-blowing. And so at the end of the first year, we had 70 colleges. At the end of year 2, we had about 110, and it's grown incrementally each year. And I think now over 160 colleges are involved in the Blended Learning Consortium. And you can see in the map at the top right-hand side is the distribution of those colleges across the UK. So we've got all of the Northern Ireland colleges, a good deal of the Welsh colleges, and it's around about 2/3 of the English and Scottish colleges are involved as well. The top middle pictures are the logos for the Blended Learning Consortium. So that first top logo, which I now call the BBC coronavirus logo, which is that was actually designed by a student from one of the colleges in the Blended Learning Consortium. We do a lot of things democratically, and we asked the original colleges to design logos for us. We had a vote, and that was the one that we voted. And if you can think back 4 or 5 years, that looks so like the BBC coronavirus. So I think Amy, based on that, thought, oh my God, we need to change our logo quickly. And so the logo behind that is now the logo that was changed to. But ironically, the BLC really did come into its own during coronavirus, and Amy and Matt and the team did some incredible work in supporting colleges moving online, and that was amazing to watch as an observer. The top left is just a picture of a piece of Blended Learning Consortium content, and Matt will be showing you more of that. And the bottom pictures just sort of illustrate the collaboration and the events and the Blended Learning Consortium has been running over the years. We have an annual conference. So there we've got a picture of the audience and myself doing a presentation at the last conference, which was this summer. Some breakout sessions there. The BLC does webinars, you know, one sort of each term, a sort of big get-together webinar, and then a number of more specific topic-based webinars. So the Blended Learning Consortium has a massive amount of activities, both not just sharing content, but the whole community, which to me is just as important as the content. And in terms of the impact of the Blended Learning Consortium, I think these things kind of really summarise it. It's been working for over 10 years. Over 160 colleges have been involved. The total, and this is growing pretty much every week, 2,647 SCORM resources have been created. And in addition to that, there's about 800 video resources and shared resources. So the total collection is nearly 3,500 resources that all of these organisations have got together. And the key things that the BLC does, it supports collaboration, it provides support, and say during coronavirus, it really came into its own then. But many colleges will come to the BLC and say, we're introducing this new technology. We're looking for partners to work on a bid with us. Is anyone else using this particular toolkit? And the BLC can act as a conduit for linking colleges together and for providing advice, doing regular webinars and regular conferences. So that's a bit of a summary of the BLC. And I learned a lot from the BLC. And there are a number of things that when I got together with three dear friends and colleagues to set up TeacherMatic, some of the key things that I took over into TeacherMatic is the importance of listening to the community, of continual improvement, of always looking at how can we improve things, how can we make things better. And that was something that I really learned from the BLC team, who the content development team were always looking at how they could make things better, how they could improve that content, and learned some really great lessons from them and how they did that. Like what we're doing today, doing free community events. I think that's when you've got large groups of organisations working together. That the BLC has over 160 colleges. TeacherMatic now has over 400 learning providers, schools, colleges, universities. We've recently signed up all of the community colleges in North Carolina, and I'm hoping there might be some of our colleagues from North Carolina. So I understand you were hit by the recent hurricanes and the weather there, so I hope all's well over there. And also doing a lot around sharing best practice. So both the BLC does these regular webinars where colleges share best practice with each other, the BLC conference where there's lots and lots of amazing sessions run by practitioners from the colleges sharing best practice with each other, acting as this conduit. And I very much try to bring that into TeacherMatic. So let's move on to TeacherMatic. So this is, if you've not seen TeacherMatic before, but I'm guessing the vast majority of you have done, this is what TeacherMatic looks like. And where did it come from? Well, the TeacherMatic kind of grew out of these technologies that sort of started hitting our consciousness as a couple of years ago, things like ChatGPT. And when I first saw ChatGPT over a couple of years ago, it absolutely blew my socks off. It's like something had dropped out of the next century. And it was clear that this was an incredibly powerful technology. But at the same time, to use ChatGPT well and similar things, and to get pedagogically sound resources out of them, you've got to be really, really good at prompt engineering. And that's not an easy skill. And so the idea behind TeacherMatic is to allow educators to get the benefits of these AI technologies in terms of improvements in health and well-being that result from the time that you save, the improvements in creativity, the new ideas that these technologies can offer, for improving teaching, learning and assessment, and making these technologies much more accessible without having to deal with ChatGPT and similar things. So when you log on to something like ChatGPT, what you see is a blank screen. And for a lot of teachers, it's like, well, what do I do with this? Like, if you want to make good use of it, you've got to be very good at prompt engineering. And prompt engineering isn't easily. You've got to learn all of these different things that this particular diagram summarizes. And so this is how many teachers kind of respond to when they're shown these sorts of tools and how to do prompt engineering. It's not simple. And this has really been illustrated by a recent study by Oxford University and the Reuters Institute, which showed that while 50% of the general population are aware of generative AI tools such as ChatGPT, only 2% of people are using these things regularly because they're not easy to use, not to get really good stuff out of. You've got to be very skilled with using them. And I think that's fairly, those figures reflect, how many teachers are using these tools out of the box. So together with 3 colleagues, you may recognise them, 2 people, Ollie Sterney, Sam Babukan and Jeff Elliott. And we got some funding from the UFI, and we worked initially with 3 teacher training managers. In fact, Matt was involved in those initial 3 people who helped us design a prototype. We rolled that out to 50 teachers, recruited through the Blended Learning Consortium. They gave us advice, they paid back, we improved that prototype. We then rolled that out to 300 teachers, again, recruited through the Blended Learning Consortium. We got further advice, further feedback, we did focus groups. And then last April, just about 18 months ago, we launched TeacherMatic. And in 18 months, we were acquired in March by Avalane, which was a very good thing for us because it was just getting too big for the 4 of us to manage on our own. So we've now got a large EdTech company behind us, giving us a lot more support. We continue to improve and innovate. As I say, we've got over 40,000 users, and in fact, it's over 400 organisations now using TeacherMatic. So, introducing TeacherMatic. For those of you who haven't seen it, for those of you who have seen it, hopefully I'll show you 1 or 2 new things that maybe you're not aware of. Some of the key things that is why TeacherMatic is useful for schools, colleges and universities over things like ChatGPT is it offers security, that if you upload any of your documents, if you're doing search with ChatGPT, you've lost control of them. With TeacherMatic, you've got a secure managed solution. We do content filtering as well. It's much easier to use, and it comes over at a fraction of the cost. So, for example, if you're using the paid for version of some of these things like Copilot, that's £30 a month, whereas TeacherMatic is £30 a year. And the final point is that TeacherMatic, while it started off being tools just for teachers, we've now got a range of tools for non-teaching staff, like for managers, things like creating policies, strategies, funding bids, event management, event planning, survey creators, email writers and responders. And we also build bespoke generators. Okay, I'm now going to share platform with you quickly. Okay, you're seeing that platform okay?
You've got it, Pete, yeah.
That's going fair. Thanks very much, Matt. So, if many of you will recognise this, and this will be familiar to you, but if you haven't seen it before, this is the TeacherMatic platform. And so when you log on, this is what you see. And what I want to kind of use this short demonstration for now is just to explain how those principles that I learned from TeacherMatic, from the Blended Learning Consortium, around collaboration, around learning from the community, around it being driven by the community, have fed into TeacherMatic. So when we first launched, we had 18 generators in total. These are generators: PowerPoint, scheme of work, scheme of learning, lesson plan, learning objectives, steps to success, title, multiple choice questions. We started with 18. We've now got 99. Now, as one illustration, and I'm actually seeing Matt's face at the moment, this was Matt's idea, the PowerPoint presentation one. We put out to the community, we asked for suggestions as to new generators that we could build. We had a number of suggestions. We put it out to a vote. Matt suggested a PowerPoint generator and one. And in fact, that was the one that was voted for. And so we built that particular generator. So Matt, you should feel rightly proud that that was your suggestion and that's come through into TeacherMatic. And all of these other ones, we started 18. they've all come from ideas from the community. So I'm going to show you just 2 or 3 generators now. I haven't got time to show you all 99. If any of you want, TeacherMatic users, if you just send me an email at the end, I can give you a trial log on. You can have a go at it and you can have a go yourself. So you've got many, many generators. 2 of my favourite ones, Ask an Expert, Ask Someone Famous. These are the ones you can actually use in the classroom and getting your students interacting with famous people. I used to teach psychology, so I could bring up Ask Someone Famous and bring Sigmund Freud or Jean Piaget or B.F. Skinner in and get students asking them questions. We've got generators for quality staff, such as coaching prompts. So we've got assessment ones like a rubric generator, ones for reference writing, email creation, many. It's growing all the time. So big collection of generators. One thing that was suggested to us came out earlier is I want to be able to save results. And so you see each teacher can save results, put them into folders, and they can share them. So I'm now going to just show you next the multiple choice question generator, which is our most popular generator. Am I still coming through okay, Matt? Okay. And so when we first did this generator, so for example, say I'm a biology teacher and I wanted to have some multiple choice questions on mitosis. Initially, all you could do was you'd put in your topic there, you could say how many questions, and you click generate, and you'd build some questions, and then, so that's for 5 questions, and then we could copy them. And that's what this generator used to do. And then we had lots of suggestions from the community. Someone said to us, I want to be able to upload my handout so it can build questions around my handout. And so I said, yeah, okay, let's do that. And so we put in an upload file thing. Then someone else said, I want to put in a YouTube video. So here's a YouTube video on mitosis, and I want to be able to show my students a YouTube video and then build some questions around that. That was really hard to do that. It took our development team quite a while to crack that one, but we've introduced that. And so, for example, if I want, say, 10 questions based on that YouTube video, I just copy and paste that YouTube video, click on regenerate, and that will then build me 10 questions based on the information of what it's doing. It's looking at the subtitles in the video and building that. So this is incredibly powerful for teaching and learning, because it means you can get your students to watch your video and then give them 10 multiple choice questions on that. And then we had all sorts of requests. I want to put these questions into Kahoot, or I want to put these questions into quizzes or Blooklet. Now, I knew Kahoot and quizzes. I'd never heard of Blooklet and GymKit, but they're similar sorts of tools. I want to be able to upload them into my VLE, such as Moodle or Blackboard or Canvas or Brightspace. So based on all of those suggestions from the community, TeacherMatic has been driven forward. And just to sort of quickly show you how one of those work, an awful lot of colleges now use Microsoft Teams. So if you want to use this with Microsoft, I could export that as a Word document. And then if I go into my Microsoft Forms, and this is just a quick tip, this is a really great thing to do with TeacherMatic. And in Forms, I go to Quick Import. And there you see that's that document I just exported on mitosis. Import that into Forms. Tell Forms I want that to be a quiz. Just while that's, I'm just going to copy that URL again. And so that's now created that quiz in Forms. And what I can do then is I can maybe go ask the students to write a summary of the video, insert the video. And then I've got that video into Forms, ask the students to watch the video, write a summary, and then answer 10 questions. And I don't know if you're all aware of this option in Forms. where you can get the students to scan the QR code, and it's a bit like Kahoot or Quizzes, and you can run that through forms. So that's just a couple of examples of how TeacherMatic has been driven by the community and by the ideas that we've had of how it helped us improve TeacherMatic. So in terms of a bit of feedback from our community, it saves an average of 3.8 hours a week. This is from a survey that we did. So my favourite quote here is, "I've got my Sunday afternoons back." So that's the kind of impact that TeacherMatic has. "I've never been so blown away by anything in 30 years, one of our vice principals said. There's some really interesting GISC report from FE, and there's one in HE coming out. Some stuff coming up soon. We've got a Moodle plugin coming up soon. We've got apps for Android and iOS. We've got a whole load of English language teaching generators that we think will be useful for ESOL. We're developing a lot more Google functionality and a lot more functionality around linking in with awarding bodies, etc. So there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming soon. So over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Pete, and good afternoon, everyone. And a big thank you to Amy and Pete's introduction, and very, very nice compliments to the team. I get the lucky job really of kind of showcasing this kind of stuff, and you know, I really must stress that Kirsty and Joe and the team that I work with deserve the credit. Really, I think that the work that they do and the work that they've done with Pete and Amy over the years is absolutely incredible. And yeah, it's I always get the nice bit to kind of showcase that. So yeah, I really do want to stress that without them we wouldn't be as successful and in what we do. So a quick brief introduction about who I am and why I'm here really. So my name is Matt, and I'm the Director of Blended and Online Learning at the Heart of Worcestershire College, but also the Blended Learning Consortium as well. So obviously focusing on the Blended Learning Consortium today. And you'll meet Kirsty and Joe as well, which are pivotal people in that team that support with the BLC, but also help us keep our internal digital blended type of learning at Howe College as well. So we're quite lucky really in regards to how we develop resources, and that's what we do really well for the BLC, but we very much put those into practice through our own college as well. So we get that opportunity to really test them and kind of see how they work and gather that feedback from students and teachers and you know, college staff as well. But as I'll get onto in a second, you know, one of the points that Pete made earlier on was around the community that we have access to is second to none. You know, we get a huge amount of support, advice, guidance, innovation, ideas from our members, and that's something that we're really proud to be able to have as well. So hopefully I'm going to kind of go over a bit of what the BLC is and kind of where we're moving towards and what kind of things we do and the benefits of being part of that. And again, you know, Pete mentioned some of these points, so I'm just going to kind of really confirm those really, that we've been running, the BLC's been running for just over 10 years. We're just about to go into our 10th phase of development. We tend to develop in years or phases, and we will be going into our 10th year phase, and we really want to make a kind of big deal of that, because it is an incredible amount of time that we've been doing this for, but also the amount of resource that we've now collectively created is such an appealing quality that we have. We always you know, are very proud for the amount of members that we have, and we've got just over 160 members across FE. Some HE providers as well are in there, and some other learning kind of private learning providers as well, and unique learning providers are starting to kind of come to us now and you know, get into that kind of more access of what we can provide. So that's really good, and again, like Amy alluded to in her opening speech was, we don't just focus on FE. We can be used, and we can be kind of supporting other different types of education as well, and something we're always open to have conversations with people about what their uniqueness is, or what kind of things that we can support them with. So yeah, don't ever be afraid to kind of contact us and bring a case forward to us, because we're always looking to try new things, or get into new markets as well. Excuse me. The overall amount of resource that we have now is incredible. We've got over 3,000 individual learning objects, and what I mean by a learning object is not just an traditional e-learning package. We're branching off into different types of resource now, and I'll go through that a little bit later on. But videos, for example, we have lots of different types of demonstration videos, but also what we've started to do is create some more micro-based resource as well, and looking at how we can create really short, sharp videos that help highlight points like prevent, or British values, or safeguarding, and really important subjects like that, because a learner's engagement and a learner's way of learning is always changing, and we react to that quite a lot. They're always our harshest critics, and we thank them for that, really, because ultimately, without students telling us the way that they like to learn, we're not going to be making sure that we hit the mark and supporting our colleagues with that. We do cover over 180 vocational subjects, different types of subjects, and that can be different levels as well, and different tutorial type packages, or public services, or we've started to develop more T levels now as well, moving into that kind of world of development. So we do tend to react to what our customers want, and that's without that kind of feedback, we would we need that, because we want to be able to support those people the best that we can. So I just want to whiz over how the model works, and the BLC model works. So our member colleges pay an annual membership fee of £5,000, and that works each year that they want to buy into that at that current development phase as well. All the money that we raise from that essentially pays for the development and the writing and the curation of those resources. So again, we're very open and transparent about how that money is spent. But one of the main kind of fuel of that as well is that we ask our members to vote for what subjects that they want for us to create in that next development year. So we're just about to come to the end of our phase 9 development, which we should be finishing over the next couple of months. We will be going out to our members within the next couple of weeks, actually, to ask them what subjects they would like. Now, of course, we have 9 years worth of content essentially in our back catalogue. So what we try to do is we try to look at how we can fill those gaps potentially. And I think our members are kind of used to that kind of mentality of, right, we don't have a massive amount of resource in this particular area, so that's something that they may want to vote for. We also allow our members to have access to those source files. So when we develop our resources or create those resources, we are giving that ability to have access to those source files, so they can rebrand it, or they can kind of adapt them to suit their organization or their institution. And that's something, again, which a lot of our members tend to do. They like to put certain aspects of what their message is to staff and students. So again, having that ability to be able to do that is very popular. And like I mentioned, our members also have the ability to pay into that back catalogue as well. And that's not a whole thing. You can do certain years, you can do certain subjects. As we tend to look at kind of bundles that we can offer now to support the cost and the implementation that they actually really need, rather than it being kind of a black or white process. So again, it's for those members that we have, and obviously new members that we don't have, we're always open to having conversations about what is it that you need, so that we can then support you the best way that we can. Pete alluded to this again. There was lots of benefits to the community and the members that we have, and it's continually growing. And I think that I've learned so much from other organisations by just having open conversations. We support our tutorial model at the heart of Worcestershire College, and sometimes just having those open conversations with people around how are you delivering this, or how are you using this, or how are you addressing these problems, has been really, really valuable to me and Kirsty and the team, because having that ability to be able to share ideas and bounce different types of processes and ideas off each other is amazing. So yes, we are predominantly an e-learning development consortium, but because we work in education, we tend to have those different the same kind of concerns or issues or problems, and being part of that community is brilliant. We're very lucky to have a lot of kind of promotional offers from other educational providers. We have sponsors as well for our consortium. We've got Instructure, which are a company that support lots of different things, but Canvas being their kind of VLE offering. Again, we were able to offer discounted kind of incentives for things like that as well. So, but also we have members that will be doing initiatives or willing to kind of work with other colleges on different things as well. So there's lots of things that you get access to, or you can have the ability to access different things from different providers as well. As I mentioned, opportunity to vote, and again, we're just about to come up to that process for our phase 10, and we really value that, because it's about you having your say and giving you a voice, and having the members to be able to do that is brilliant. Again, Pete mentioned this. We run 2 online webinars a year. We normally do an autumn one, which is coming up in November the 6th, and then we do a spring one, which is normally around about April time. But we also have now thankfully started doing in-person conferences as well. Since the pandemic, we've now done 2, and they've been really successful and really nice to be able to see members, meet members, rather than seeing them on screen all the time, and we get lots of support from people showcasing what they do in their own organizations, different types of innovation around AI and things like that we've had quite recently. So again, a really nice opportunity to come and get a really great opportunity to learn different things, CPD opportunities and all sorts of things. So yeah, we really encourage people to kind of come to those things to find out what we're up to from the BLC, but also get lots of information from other people as well. I'm just going to whiz over a couple of these, because lots of people may already have an understanding of this, but from our members really, that lots of people use our content in lots of different ways. Catch-up work and revision is quite a popular one. And again, especially through the pandemic, we found that a lot of people were using our resources as a kind of platform for people to catch up or revise, maths and English, for example, coming up to GCSE or functional skill time was a great example of that. Absence cover, absence is always going to be a thing that's going to happen in any organisation. So having the ability to be able to kind of provide learning to people that may not be able to do it because there's not a teacher available is really good. Something we use our resources for a lot at the college is for stretch and kind of further learning. So we provide further learning opportunities to our students, and that's self-guided. They can go on or do a little bit here and there. It's not kind of prescribed or timetabled or anything like that, but it might be that they want to learn a little bit more in digital skills, or about coaching, or lots of different things. So we provide that opportunity. Tutorials, we do a lot of tutorial resources, and again, we're always being asked to do more of those types of resources, and for apprentices and short and part-time courses. Again, really popular uses of our content. So yeah, just a few different kind of ways, but we're always willing to kind of hear about how people are using our content, because it helps us share that practice with the community. I want to spend a bit of time really just kind of unpicking how we develop our content, because this is the key part really, and something that we've learned over the years and really has been driven by students and their need and their wants for learning is interactivity. We know as professionals, as staff, that there's nothing more off-putting than being, you know, in front of a 80-90 slide PowerPoint. And there's not much interaction, there's not much, you know, guidance to be able to kind of do that. And something we really pride ourselves on is that there's always little things to be doing within our resources, you know, whether that's a little activity or a little click and reveal, or whether it's a, you know, a cascade or, you know, things like that kind of generate different visual effects, is something that we really started to work hard on over the last few years. We are really keen and really driven to try and bring in lots of new different types of technology, you know, and more immersive kind of examples, more 360 video, more augmented reality opportunities, 3D visuals, things like that we can try and bring in. So you'll notice, for those members that have been with us for a long time, hopefully you'll notice that kind of progression now is starting to come much more into our resources. The challenge I feel personally is that, you know, our students, and I've got a young boy that plays computer games, is that's what they expect and that's what they deserve. So, you know, why wouldn't we put that into our learning resources? Because I can, you know, that's what we need to do. That's our duty. So yeah, you'll see, and I'll go through a couple of examples of what we've been doing most recently. Again, making sure accessibility and the ability to be able to work on any platform is really important. And although traditionally our resources really only tend to sit on a virtual learning environment, and that's kind of how they traditionally have been developed for, we're starting to look at how we can develop resources that don't necessarily need that platform. So you don't have to be really tech savvy to get our resources into a learning environment. We want to provide those resources equally for teachers that don't necessarily need a VLE or use a VLE in their teaching. So more videos, more kind of micro-based resource, more assets that people can use in their own ways or different types of ways. That's kind of what we're starting to look at now and develop more with that mindset, rather than, you know, kind of traditionally down the one way. So I think, you know, something we're really excited to do, and you know, from the team's perspective, it helps develop their skills more and kind of experiment in different ways. So really good. Within all of our resources, we, you know, make sure that there's lots of teaching points, kind of recalls, reflections, assessments, whether that's a prior assessment or a post assessment, and knowledge checks throughout. Again, creating what good teaching looks like and works in a classroom is really important for us to bring into our resources as well, so that, you know, students know that that's what the type of learning that they expect. So it's trying to, just because it's an online resource doesn't mean that those teaching points shouldn't be part of that. So yeah, it's something that we really try hard to put in. All of our content is written by sector specialists, and we do go out to the consortium as well to offer anyone that would be willing to do some writing for us. And lots of people are saying to me now, well, wouldn't you just use AI? And you know, there's a room for that, in my opinion, but we're quite passionate about not replacing the human element of learning. So, you know, we know that a human writing that content for us is going to come from experience, from knowledge, from passion, from engagement. So, you know, we're really kind of going to keep that framework as long as we possibly can. Accessibility, again, is really important to us. You know, all of our resources we pride and we really work hard to make sure are as accessible for everybody that we can. We know now that, you know, there's lots of accessibility tools that can work with different platforms. For example, you know, you get immersive readers in Microsoft Edge or Chrome. and you know, we try to work in conjunction with those as well. So you know, it's really important to us that uh, we try to make our resources as accessible as possible. And again, you know, what we always say to members is that if there is a point that you need, or you know, something that we can do to help with those resources as well, then please let us know. For those that aren't members of us within the meeting today, just to kind of reference what we've currently developed this this current phase of development. So we've done some resources around artificial intelligence. No surprises there, and again, that's something that we'll probably continue to add to, I feel, going into phase 10. And these were all voted. Again, I forgot to mention that from our consortium members. We did some cybersecurity resources, leadership and management at level 4, hair and beauty at level 3, sports coaching and development at level 3, another T level qualification, so management and administration. And what we've started to do now, and again, you know, me and Amy kind of put our heads together when she was still with us a long time ago now, about looking at what resources we've got from our early years and year 1, for example, in this example, but how we can start to look at refreshing those to start bringing those back up to date into our phase 10 and phase 9 development years. And we'll continually start to do that now. So again, when we go out to our members to vote, we'll be asking about which subjects you feel that you really need from those early years to be bringing back into the most recent. So our phase 9 was hospitality, level 2 and level 3. So we're currently going through a phase of refresh for that, and I'll showcase one of the resources of those in a second to show you what we've kind of made so far. This is our kind of central hub, really, of all of our resources. So I'll leave that on screen for a couple of seconds now. So and I'll hopefully, if I can get the chat to work, I'll pop that in. Oh, thank you, Pete. You've just done that for me. But this is where all of our resources are kind of, you know, listed. This is our resource booklet. This is a live link, so we update this weekly. We release, depending on the time of the year, it's normally around 5 to 10 different resources each week. So yeah, if you want an up-to-date list of what we've got in different phases, then this is the place to go. You'll notice as well here the little kind of circle with the number in. That's when it was made, so what year or what phase that was made. So yeah, you can see there that was the first one, second year, and then it goes up like that. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but as always, you know, if you've got any questions about what were in different types of years, then contact me, the team, and we more than happily talk you through it. I've mentioned this before, but you know, this is the exciting part of my role, is that, you know, Kirsty and the team, I set them, you know, hard tasks to get, and you know, but that's what our consortium members deserve, and you know, and rightly so demand. You know, we work in a sector of technology that's always changing, and we have to reflect that in what we offer, you know. And like I've mentioned, you know, the fact that we want to try and start looking at augmented reality and more 360 video, and certainly more gamified types of resources to keep that engagement going with learners is really important. Again, 3D assets, we started to create more 3D type assets. We're currently doing sports and coaching, as I mentioned before, and how we can use those assets as a standalone asset and bringing that in to a teacher's world. Because again, as an ex-teacher, I feel that, you know, yes, I would know how to get those resources and the e-learning and the BLC resources, but how can I bring something into my teaching PowerPoint, or how can I create a QR coded resource to be able to show a 3D model of a shoulder joint, or to highlight the points that I'm teaching? So it's trying to branch out into those different opportunities, and you'll certainly start to see that more coming through into the end of phase 9 and certainly into phase 10 as well. So I'm just going to switch my screen very quickly. Hopefully that's still coming through. I think it still says, yeah, I'm still sharing. And I want to kind of just, Thanks, Pete. Just a couple of more minutes just to sort of highlight what I'm talking about, mainly for those people that perhaps aren't members of the BLC, just to see what types of resources we're currently and this one is something that, again, from the refresh of our hospitality. So this was essentially a resource that was 10 years old, and what we set the task of the team was to see how we could kind of really gamify this type of resource. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through. I don't think I've shared the sound, which is not a problem, but you'll see that these types of resources here are kind of now very much generated in a kind of visual, kind of storied kind of way. And you'll see that, you know, these are kind of, you know, real life character, kind of animated characters that we're bringing in now, and not just kind of photos and kind of still visuals as well. But this kind of resource here is basically kind of gamifying something that could be quite a heavy subject. You know, personal hygiene standards in hospitality is something that most people that have worked in hospitality would have to do straight away. And by bringing in different characters and bringing in different kind of games or different kind of processes, that kind of really helps with the students' engagement. Now, we've tested these types of resources with students, and they're more engaged, they're more inclined to do the resources. Of course, we've had to try and shorten down those types of resource as well to make it so it's not 45 minutes. We tend to break it up into small sections. So when you are using our resources collectively, you may want to section it into your VLEs so that you do a short, sharp attack of those resources rather than it being one long one. So again, something that, you know, how we've kind of changed the way that we do things. If I just skip through another slide there as well. Again, you know, it's very kind of likable and relatable, and kind of puts that kind of scenario based learning into the forefront as well. So that's kind of one of our ones that we've done as a refresh. This is one that we've kind of done as a kind of more micro based resource, and traditionally our resources are around about 45 minutes to an hour worth of learning, but following feedback from the consortium members, they really wanted some sort of smaller, sharper, shorter resources. So again, it's kind of, you know, looking at 5 minutes of learning or 10 minutes of learning, and kind of sectioning it around those different types of timelines. So again, you know, very nice user interfaces, good visual references of images, you know, not overloading the amount of information in them as well, which is really key. Again, breaking it down into nice kind of shorter learning objectives. Now, traditionally in what, you know, in some of our kind of fuller fat resources, if you like, they're learning objectives from about 4 to 5. So you can see the kind of difference that, you know, there's 2 really important learning objectives from this. I'll just quiz through a couple more. Again, you know, nice and clean, nice and, you know, easy to read, easy to kind of use from a screen reader perspective, for an accessibility perspective as well. So really kind of nice and fresh and different and kind of types of resource. And of course, we're able to create more of these as well, so which is great. So when, you know, we traditionally look at 20, sometimes 30 individual sessions under a subject, we can now create more of those, and you know, our members can use them in loads of different ways now, and you know, because everybody has their own unique way of building their online courses. So I think that what we're trying to do is provide a bit of a pick and mix of different ways that people can combine different types of resource to suit what their audience is. Again, just to quickly, this is one of our short videos again as well. I'm just going to turn it off because but you know, 1.5 minute long is just about right for a student to get understanding of what critical thinking is. And again, it kind of just really keeps it short and sharp and highlights that point. And what we're trying to do now is we're trying to create these types of videos alongside all of the subjects that we're doing. So again, you'll notice that especially from a member's perspective, how we're starting to move into that you know, we've got a subject of public services, for example, you're bound to get at least 30, 40 short, sharp individual videos, as well as a full e-learning package, as well as a short micro-based resource as well. So again, much more that you get bang for your buck now, and that's something that, you know, we feel that, you know, and we've checked with members that this is what they want, and this is certainly what they've all come back to when we've asked them, is that they want that bit more of a pick and mix to be able to use different things as well. I'll just go back to presentation. For those people that aren't members, or of course members that have been with us for a long time, this is certainly somewhere to go and have a look. We've kind of showcased a lot of our resources on our website, and you'll notice that we've got, you know, a range of different example resources, videos on there as well, and we're always updating this with the latest stuff that we've done. So certainly scan that QR code, and again, I can put that link in the chat in a second, but that's really where everything kind of comes together, and where we signpost people to kind of have a look at our resources. So yeah, definitely worth a look there as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Matt. That's just amazing the way the new content's looking. I've got a very short announcement to make before we hand over to Kerry and Joe. And this is a very kind of collaboration between the BLC and TeacherMatic. So I've just got a screenshot. You seen the glossary there, Matt?
Yeah, we've got a peek.
Right, so this is some new functionality in TeacherMatic, and something you won't see at the moment. This is on a prototype thing. Is we've got this functionality called cartridges. Now, this is because the company that's acquired us, Avalane, are very much involved in publishing, and we're going to start introducing cartridges where you can link your searches on TeacherMatic. You build the resources and link to a particular publisher's resources. And Matt and myself have been in some discussions recently, and we're going to prototype whether we can do this with the BLC resources. As you may be aware, there are accessible Word document versions of the BLC resources. So we're going to work to see if we can have a BLC cartridge for the BLC members. So, for example, if you're an engineering level 2 teacher, you would be able to select an engineering level 2 BLC object, say for a glossary or a quiz or a multiple choice quiz or a lesson plan, and use the content in that for the AI to map to that and build resources around that. And so that's first people to know about that outside me and Matt are all you guys. That is something we're going to look to develop, and hopefully we'll have implemented in a few months. So hopefully that's exciting news. I'm now going to hand over to Kirsty and Joe, who are going to show us some examples of how the BLC and TeacherMatic can be used together.
As he said, my name's Kirsty. I'm the digital learning lead at Hertfordshire College, and in the driving seat today I've got Joe, who's our digital programs lead here at the college as well. As they alluded to, we're going to demo some of the ways we use the BLC materials and TeacherMatic together to create a bit of course content or some activities, and how you can use those to create this kind of information for your learners. So as you can see on your screen, we've kind of prepared one earlier, and a Moodle course. We use Moodle as our virtual learning environment at Hertfordshire College. But some of the activities and examples we'll go through can really be embedded into any virtual learning environment, and different kinds of activities. So we're going to just start with the course description. So in TeacherMatic, there is a generator called course description. And you see on the Moodle page that Joe just had that we have a section that we add in our course information into. So we head over to the BLC Moodle page. Plenty of links going on here. Our Moodle page contains a whole list of learning objectives for every single resource that we create. And it lists all of that on that Moodle page. Sorry, Joe, have you got the BLC Moodle?
Yeah,
just to make me log back in.
Yeah.
There we go. So this is the BLC Moodle page. If you navigate through to preview modules, we're going to look at artificial intelligence, which I'm sure you'll find topical for today, and view category. And this is what any of our members will see when you have an account on our BLC Moodle. As you scroll down, you can see previews of some of the sessions. There's normally only around 3 that you'll get to preview, but it should give you a gist of what the sessions look like. And as you can see, as Joe scrolls down, the session details will include the title and then the learning objectives for each of those resources. So we're going to take the first probably just 3 sessions to kind of have a look at what we can create in TeacherMatic and then into our course page. So Joe will highlight those 3, copy them, and then go into the course description generator in TeacherMatic.
This one?
Lovely job. And literally copy and paste them straight into there. You can obviously put further details if you feel like you need to. And with their handy little slider of complexity, we can change the level of the output according to where we're aiming our course. And then click generate, and as if by magic, we get our course information. So you, as Peter kind of alluded to earlier, you can export that in a couple of different ways. We would tend to save it, download it as a Word document to be able to kind of maybe check spelling and grammar, obviously give it a sense check. But just for demo purposes, we can copy and paste it straight into the course. It might already be in the Moodle page as one that we tried earlier. So as you see, Joe will click on that drop-down box. We do have it there, and it would just be a copy and paste situation. So that gives us a summary of those sessions that have been created as BLC resources, as an overview of what's going to be covered for the learners then later as they progress through the course. Thanks, Joe. So moving on to the first section, which we've called an Introduction to Artificial Intelligence, that relates to the first resource, as you'll have seen on the BLC Moodle page, where in this case, we have just copied and pasted those learning objectives from that first course straight into our Moodle page to make it really clear to the learners what's coming up. Obviously, in Moodle, we use HTML, and that's a nice little card to be able to display that kind of information. Moving on then to task 1, what we would do now is to add in, we would use our bespoke plugin, which is the BLC Resources plugin, which has been enabled on our Moodle site. And as you can see on Joe's screen, we would just click Add BLC Modules, find artificial intelligence as one of those subjects, and then navigate to Introduction to AI. That will automatically put the SCORM object straight into the Moodle page, along with the associated accessibility document, which Peter alluded to earlier that we provide. Now, that obviously gives different types of learners access to decide if they want to use the interactive version. We, by default, would normally hide the accessibility document so that students can't see the answers to the SCORM quiz. But that also does mean that at a click of a button, we can make that available to learners. So we obviously use as well a template with the tasks. So as you can see, Joe's put that under task 1 for our learners. Moving on then to task 2 for them, as you'll have seen already as well, we provide videos, and this video that we've included here and already embedded is the Introduction to AI video. And obviously you can use that, you can share it as a URL with your learners, you can share it in Teams, embed it into PowerPoints, because we do give it as an MP4 object. But within our Moodle, and Peter alluded to earlier, we can also then create a quiz based on the information contained within the video. So Peter already kind of demonstrated the multiple choice questions generator. So just to give you another aspect, we'll just look at true and false. But there's obviously also a very short answers generator. You can see on Joe's screen now. And what you can do is actually use potentially a combination of all three to create your bank of questions, to not just necessarily have true or false questions or just multiple choice, and kind of bring them all together. So I think are we going to use true and false, Joe? Let's go with it.
Let's do that,
yeah. So as you can see, the generator, our topic is artificial intelligence or AI. We would use when you look at a BLC video, this is what you would see. We would suggest clicking on the share link, as Joe's showing you, copy it from that link, and then paste it into the TeacherMatic generator. Obviously, again, you can change the amount of questions that you're after. You might want fewer if it's a shorter video, depends on really what you're looking at. And again, the scale of complexity, depending on what course or what learners, you can change that as to what you want to get out. And then we would click generate, and we would get the questions that we want out of that. So we, as I've alluded to already, we use Moodle. So once those have been generated, we tend to export those as a GIF format, which is for Moodle integration. And Joe will just show you just how easy it is. There's an activity already placed there for quiz. We would look to import the quiz questions into the question bank.
Excuse me, hold on a bit. Getting ahead of myself. There.
Here we go. Yeah. So it's a case of clicking import, choosing the gift format. In general, you can obviously change that then to the different categories that you might have within your Moodle environment. We have a whole host of areas that we cover. Obviously, we're going to use our webinar demo course for this one. And just a case of literally dragging that file into that area and clicking import. And you see your questions there straight away. And that adds that set of questions to your question bank. So obviously we mentioned about, you could add in your multiple choice, your short answer quiz questions as well into there. And then you could choose any number of those to add straight into the course. Now we were going to show you the forms quick import, but there's probably no point in going over that again because Peter did that one already. But it's something that we find really helpful as well. Teachers tend to be pretty blown away of how quick that is. And obviously that can be embedded into Moodle, obviously other learning environments, and could be added as URL, a sharing link as well. So that's that one. And then just another one that we find that we use, obviously the final task that we've got set up here to show you, just as a feedback activity in Moodle. We've called it reflective questions, and the generator that we would use to create that is classroom questions. And this just gives the students an idea to reflect on what they've done using the information that we've provided, put their own thoughts. So we would put the topic down as artificial intelligence. Obviously, we could put the YouTube video link in if we wanted it specifically for the video, but we're going to go as a general AI overall. Again, you can change the questions. Within TeacherMatic, you can choose a model that you want it to be based on if you do that. We are, I think, yep, you can obviously choose Bloom's, choose any angle. We will use no specific model, and then just for the type of question we're going for is open, because we want the students to be able to freely type their thoughts and reflections about this area. Again, scale the complexity with many of the other generators. Lovely. Thanks, Joe. And that would just be another copy and paste or download as a Word doc situation that we could easily then put into Moodle for students to interact with. I think it's quite handy that TeacherMatic will give you some suggestions of output as well. So we sometimes will put restrictions on the tasks so that once a student has input their own feedback, it will then unlock, did you think about this kind of thing? So it will kind of self-assess. They can have a look at what they might have input or thought about for that question. And then just lastly, because I think it's an area that we find certainly really useful, given that our personal tutors cover a lot of areas, and appreciate it's in beta at the moment, Peter. But context generator, I think, is a massive area that will really help so many tutors, certainly, and our digital learning advisors that cover all curriculums. So I know we're talking about AI, but you could put any concept, idea, or theory, British values, prevent, anything at all in there. And your topic or subject, for us, a lot of the vocational areas, and we're going to use construction for this example, where a tutor might not know, potentially what or how they could contextualize the topic to their learners. So this will give you some real world examples, literally at the click of a button, on how AI, in our example, can be related to construction. And then this kind of forms some of the filler text or introduction text that we would then put into the course, or tutors could go and find for themselves if they are trying to run a face-to-face session alongside, a more generic kind of AI, in this example, course with their learners. So yeah, that's a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of how we kind of use TeacherMatic and the Blended Learning Consortium resources, whether they be SCORM packages, videos, or even the learning objectives that we provide with the accessibility documents as well. Back to you, Peter. Thanks, Joe.
Well, thank you very much, Kirsty and Joe. It's wonderful to see all those examples. Yeah, that was just fantastic, and some really good creative use of the TeacherMatic tools there. Okay, well, colleagues, thank you. I mean, 2:28, it's perfect timing there. We've finished pretty much bang on time. I hope you've all found that a useful webinar. Okay. Goodbye, everyone, and thank you very much for coming. Have a wonderful
weekend. Thank you.
Bye-bye.